Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to learn how to make this bubu. It has ropes inside, so that's why it looks a little snatched in front, so please watch to the end. First, I folded the fabric for the back of my dress into two. Then I went ahead to draw a straight line because I want to use this opportunity to cut away the salvage hem that you guys can see. Next, I'm going to take my neckline. For the width of my neckline, I used 3 inches, so from that middle part just mark 3 inches like you can see. And for the depth of my neckline, I'm going to use 2 inches. Now you want to extend these lines, so you are going to extend from the top and the one that we just drew. Then once you extend it, you're going to have this kind of shape. Then you're going to curve it at that point to form your round neckline. Just to show you guys how much I folded, my back divided by 2 is 7.5, right? Then I'm going to add what I want my sleeve length to be. I want mine to be 12, so I'm going to mark it like that. So if you want your sleeve length to be longer, then you add more than what I have right here. The total of my length is 19.5, so I'm just going to duplicate this like you guys can see. Then I'm going to get the length of my sleeve. Now I want to use 10 inches for the length of my sleeve, but I'm also going to add 1 inch because I'm going to use that 1 inch for my slope. Next, we are going to connect from our shoulder line to the 11-inch mark that we just took. Now for my shoulder line, I will come down by 1 inch, then I will connect this to my neckline. I'm going to go ahead and quickly cut what we have here. Then we're going to get the width of our bubu. Now to get the width of your bubu, all you need to do is to get the largest part of your body, which is mostly everybody's hips. So my hip measurement is 40 inches. If I divide that by 4, I'm going to get 10. Then I'm also going to add 4 inches to whatever I have again. So my total is 14 inches. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to mark 14 inches from the center of my bubu, and I'm going to extend this at different points of my bubu. Then once I'm done extending, I'm going to connect using a straight ruler. We're also going to come over to our sleeve that we already did. Then I'm going to connect this to the straight line that we made. Now we are done with the back, and the next thing to do is to cut. To cut the front part, we are going to have our material unfold as well, but this time we are going to make about 1.5 inch extension, which is the former measurement that we had for the back plus 1.5 inch allowance. So after this straight line, we are meant to have the exact same measurement that we used for the back. So now I'm going to grab the back piece and I'm going to place it on this one that we just did. So I'm going to place it on this line that we just made right now. Once the back aligns with the front, as you guys can see, I used this power bank to stabilize it because it's silk and it's moving. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut. I'm going to cut the shoulder area and the side of my dress, of my bubu dress. For the width of our neckline, I'm going to be using 3 inches, the same as we did for the back, and we're taking that after this line that you just saw. Then for the depth, we are using 3.5 inches. So I'm going to take this on both sides of my material like you guys can see. Then once I'm done, I'm going to connect this, okay, because I want like a round neckline. So I'm going to first connect it and make this shape, then I will now curve. That's what will help me to get the curve that I want. Once I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to cut this out. We're also going to go ahead and slit our front open from the beginning till the end. For the opening on my chest line, I will come over to this point here and I'll mark 4 inches like you can see. This is how much opening I'm going to have. And for the opening down, I want it to go really below my knee line. I want this to be about 44 inches. So I'm going to come over to my shoulder points like you can see. Then I'm going to get the 44 inches that I want. Mind you, yours doesn't have to be this low. If you want it higher, then you can use about 40 or 38 inches depending on how much you want, but this is what I want, so I went ahead to mark it. And guys, we're done. I went ahead to sew with my machine from the first point I made to the second point. Once I was done sewing, this is what my result looks like. Okay, there's going to be an opening on top and below, so I'm going to open this up, and the next thing we're going to do is to iron. You should iron with a steam iron, because ironing with a steam iron is going to help you to relax this sewing. This is our results, guys, and I wanted to use facing, so I folded these pieces that we cut when we were cutting our bubu, the one that we cut from this side of our bubu, and we're going to fold this into two like you guys can see, and I'm just carefully going to cut out my facing. Please just pay attention to how I am cutting my facing. I'm going to come over here and I will notch the point where I want my facing to stop. I'm going to do this on both sides. Okay, and once you are done, we're going to place our facing from this point, and we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew. If I turn my material to the other side, this is what it looks like. This is exactly what we're going for. Then we're just going to align the fabric properly. Then we're going to trace out this excess that you guys can see. Now it's time to turn our neck, and we're going to open up what we have, and we are going to maintain the sharp edge that we have at the center. Then we go over to the sewing machine and we sew. Once we are done sewing, this is what we have. I'm just going to go ahead and notch this sewing that we just did. Then we're going to give it an under stitch. We're going to stitch towards the facing area, and once you are done, we're going to give it a good press, and we're done with the neckline. So guys, if I turn my front over, this is what it's going to look like. Very neat, very beautiful. So now it's time to do the back, and for the back we're just going to repeat the exact same process that we did for the front. We're going to fold our facing into two, and we're going to cut the neckline out. Once we are done, we're going to place the facing on the front side of the material, and I'm going to secure with pins like you guys can see. Once you are done, we're going to go over to the sewing machine. We're going to sew and also top stitch. I'm going to place the front side of my bubu, and I'm going to place the back side on it. I'm going to ensure that the right sides face each other. Then I'm going to grab the shoulder parts. Then I will turn this using the facing on the back side like you guys can see. It's very easy. Then once we are done, we're going to head over to the sewing machine, and we are going to sew on the shoulder area. We're going to do this for both sides. When we are done, we're going to turn it over, and this is the finished look. So guys, the next thing we need is our rope, and I'm going to be using 5 inches width, and for the length I think I took about 38 inches. So I'm going to be needing 2 of these, so make sure to cut that out. Then you're going to match the ends of your rope together. Go to the sewing machine, sew it. Once you are done sewing, turn it over. Make sure it is nice and smooth. Don't forget to iron. Also make sure to turn the end of your rope. Before we attach our ropes to our dress, let's grab our hemming gum, and we're going to place this in between the facing and the material like you guys can see. So I'm just going to place it right there. Then I'm going to iron it. I'm going to do this for every part of the facing that I want glued to the dress. As you guys can see, my sewing is very neat. So I'm going to come over to the shoulder again. Now I'm going to take my shoulder to waist. For my shoulder to waist, I'm using 15.5. So I'm going to mark that right there, and I'm also going to mark it on the other side as well. This is to mark where I am going to be putting my ropes. So I'm just going to extend this measurement that I have over here, and I'm going to extend it on both sides. To get the exact point that we're going to be marking, take your round waist measurement and divide it by 4. Whatever you get, subtract 1.5 from it. So mine is 20 divided by 4, 7 minus 1.5. So I'm going to take 5.5 inches on both sides, and this is exactly where we're going to be placing our ropes. I'm going to grab the first rope and place it where I want. Then I'll use my office pin to secure it. I'm also going to repeat this step for the other side as well. Then we're going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch on that rope that we just did. Next is to match the sleeves together like you guys can see, and once I'm done, I'm going to stitch from up to down on both sides. I'm going to stitch on this side and I'm going to stitch on the other side as well. So guys, this is my finished work. I also went ahead to fold in my sleeve like you guys can see, so that it can be very smooth and neat. Also for the hemline of my Bubu dress, I folded it in. Guys, we have come to the end of this video. This was the original project. I just used this purple dress as a recreation, so I really hope this video helps you. If you did, don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Also turn on your post notification to get notified anytime I post. I would love to see your creation, so please tap me on Instagram.